Welcome to the Wacky World of Work. I'm James Tehrani, your host, and today on the program we have a special guest. With us today is Jennifer Fahy, the Communications Director for Farm Aid, which is now celebrating its 30th year. We'll be talking about the complexities of putting on such a large event and the challenges current farmers face compared with 30 years ago from an insider's perspective. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Can you tell me a little bit about what it's like working with Farm Aid's Fab Four, Willie Nelson, Neil Young, John Mellencamp, and Dave Matthews? I mean, those board meetings have to be kind of interesting.
They are indeed. I feel very lucky to have the experience to work with them. My director describes them as the best communicators in the country, and I think that's true. We also work with farmers, and we work with members of the media and policymakers and people who are interested in shaping the food system and really changing it. So the whole broad range of people we work with are all tremendous. And a lot of them come to us for Willie Nelson or John Mellencamp or Neil Young or Dave Matthews, and then they stick around and get really involved because of the cause.
So how many full-time workers are part of the organization?
We are a 15-person staff, and we work year-round out of Boston, Massachusetts, and we work on issues affecting family farmers on a day-to-day basis. We have a hotline that we answer, so farmers are calling either in crisis or for more information about ways to change the practices on their farm or change their marketing, any number of reasons. And we do, work throughout the year on issues, advocacy issues. We're talking to organizations that are lobbying for changes in the regulations around farming and food safety, for instance. And then we do general education to folks who want to know more about their food and how it's produced and how they can better support family farmers through their food choices.
Very cool. So can you tell me a little bit about the challenges of organizing an event like this? I mean, you've been doing it for 30 years, so you probably have it down pat by now, but it couldn't have always been that easy.
Right. And I would say it's never easy. One of the challenges that Farm Aid set itself up for is to play in a different venue every single year. Willie wants us to move the concert around the country so that farmers, wherever they are, can come and be part of the show and really be celebrated at the concert. So every year we are, to a certain extent, reinventing the wheel and dealing with a different venue staff, different media outlets. So it's changing every year. And the concert is one day out of 365 that we work for farmers. So all of our staff have roles related to the concert, but we also have our regular day-to-day roles. And so, for instance, this will be my 13th concert, and people say, well, you're an expert now. And I say, well, if you're talking about concert production, it's really only my 13th day on the job.
Oh, wow. So do you bring in a lot of temporary workers? What are some of the challenges involved with that? I mean, you have a new crew every year.
You would think, but in reality we don't. We have the same people who come back year after year in many cases. Our producer has been with us since 1985. The crews that come in for lighting and for sound, they're professionals. They come with the sound company that we've contracted with, but they know about the Farm Aid show and they know what a special concert it is, how different it is from a regular tour, and so they all sign up for it. They say, I want you to put me on that job, because they want to come and they want to be part of it. And so, we're definitely relying on a lot of volunteers every year, but we also have veteran workers from the concert production field, touring field, people who have been out on the road with the Rolling Stones, for instance, who come and dedicate a day, actually a week, typically, to set the whole show up.
But it's got to be a challenge coordinating with all the different groups. I mean, everybody has their own roadies, their own people. I mean, how do you handle that?
Yeah, well, we have professionals. So we are communicating with all of the artists and their teams. And we've got systems in place. We've got, an online form for them to tell us all of their needs, what their set plot looks like and what kind, the drum set and the lighting and all of that good stuff. And thankfully we have professionals who can speak the same language as the touring managers. And it all comes together because people are, on the artist side, they're doing this every day. So for them, it's just another day of work. And on our professional side who come in from the touring industry, it's another day of work for them too. A very special day, but it's pretty routine.
I've always been curious about this. Now, Farm Aid kind of got its roots from Live Aid back in 1985. So Is there a lot of interaction between the different events? I mean, are you talking to like the Lollapaloozas and so forth, talking about best practices?
Here and there, we definitely learn from each other. Since we're here today after Lollapalooza had to delay the concert and shorten it a little bit due to extreme weather, that's one case where we have learned through the touring industry about when extreme weather happens and what the best protocol is. So we have a really strict practice in place in terms of how we're notified of impending weather and what our emergency plan is, an evacuation plan. So definitely there's a lot of that learning that goes on. But the tours are all really different too,
Sure.
you know, and so a Farm Aid compared to a Lollapalooza, there's a lot of different factors involved. Although we were just driving through town and amazed that they've already taken down most of the stages. It's tremendous, tremendous.
So tell me a little bit about, I mean, you mentioned that you're moving around from state to state with each farm aid, but what are some of the challenges you're seeing with farmers today, or that farmers are seeing today, and is that a lot different from what it was 30 years ago?
A lot of things have changed and a lot have remained the same. So the core issues that we still work on to this day remain the same. It's access to credit for farmers because of their business, and they have to have so much money up front before they even put a seed in the ground, and the seed may not grow. So there's a lot on the line for farmers, and that access to credit is really crucial. The ability for farmers to earn a fair price is still huge. We still have this cyclical cycle of pricing in agriculture, and it creates these ups and downs for farmers. So it's often boom or bust. So that's tough. And then more recently, a challenge for new farmers is to get on the land. How do they afford to purchase the land? How do they afford to purchase the equipment? It's a lot of money that they need up front, especially if they're not inheriting a farm. And for more and more farmers now, with the cost of farmland so high and the need for more housing everywhere, it seems, the question about whether a farmer can afford to keep that farmland in farming rather for the next generation, rather than sell it for development.
Great. Well, do you want to give us some deets about the event? When is it happening?
Sure.
How can people get tickets? Who's going to be performing?
Farm Aid is happening, Farm Aid 30 is happening on September 19th at First Merit Bank Pavilion at Northerly Island, right downtown Chicago. And the Farm Aid concert always features our board artists, Willie Nelson, John Mellencamp, Neil Young, and Dave Matthews. And this year we also have Imagine Dragons, Jack Johnson, Casey Musgraves, Chicago's own Mavis Staples, Old Crow Medicine Show, Lucas Nelson, and Promise of the Real, and a number of other bands. It's too long to list them all. It's great, but it really encompasses an amazing diversity of music, from pop and rock and roll to country, gospel, and blues.
Very cool. Well, thank you for joining us today, and thank you for joining us at the Wacky World of Work. I'm James Tehrani, your host, and if you have any questions about the program, you can always email me at editors@workforce.com, or you can tweet to me at @WorkforceJames. And like I always say, whatever works. Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you.